It gets on my tits. Absolute tits. It pisses around all the time. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. We're live, and we're talking Manchester United as normal. We're going to be talking about Rangnick and Ronaldo's Judgement Day. We're going to be talking about heavy criticism for Mason Greenwood and Marcus Rashford from Jamie Carragher, and whether you agree with that. We're also going to be talking about transfers, Rangnick talking about his fullbacks, and look, just something very funny to start off with. We're sponsored by Surfshark, which I'll talk about in a moment. Lots to get through tonight. It's also Friday night Q&A, so we'll be doing that. But apparently Harry Maguire, this is rumour on Twitter, has taken Ronaldo out of his fantasy Premier League team for the game tomorrow. Does that mean Ronaldo's not playing? Does it just mean that he doesn't like Ronaldo? I don't know whether you should be reading into any rumours like that. I mean, to be honest with you, Harry Maguire probably puts himself captain on Fantasy Premier League, which, as you know, would be a stupid thing to do because that's not who you captain. No one captains centre-backs. But wouldn't read too much into that. Lots to get into. Okay, right, look, we're sponsored by Surfshark. Love Surfshark. They've been a backer of the channel for a very long time. If you don't know what Surfshark is, lovely people, and they are a virtual private network, a VPN. One of the best things about Surfshark is their data protection services, making sure my private messages, photos, videos, and other sensitive material is protected. But my personal favourite thing, and I've said this before about Surfshark, and the great thing about a VPN is that, and I think you'll be most interested in, is that you can change your location on location-based streaming services such as Netflix or others, so you can watch them from anywhere in the world. So if you're in the UK, you can, and you're on holiday from America, you can change your laptop to be based in America, and that's how a virtual private network works, which means that you can watch your favourite shows when you're in the UK, or if you're in the UK and you want to watch the American shows, you can do that. You can use Surfshark across as many devices as you like, even if they're used at the same time, and it's available on every device you can think of, from Amazon Kindle to Android to Linux to Apple TV, the lot. Surfshark has even more features to offer, one of them being alerts. This feature will notify you when your personal information has been leaked online, etc. And because Surfshark are super nice, they're giving United Stand viewers, listen up, 83% off and 4 months free when you use the code United Stand. So if you've never tried a virtual private network, or you want to try a new one, 4 months free and 83% off when you use the code United Stand. That's right, they're giving away not one, not two, not three, but 4 months free and 83% off when you use the link in the description. Thanks again to Surfshark, and now we can move on with the video. Welcome to the Members Club, Andy Burton. Remember, tonight on a Friday night, it's a little bit more chilled. I'll be getting a drink myself in a minute when Mrs. Goldbridge comes in, and she won't be joining us. And I will also be taking some of your questions a little bit in a moment as well. But let's get straight into this. Judgment Day tomorrow. I want to talk about what Carragher said about Rashford and Greenwood. In fact, I'll drop it in so you can start thinking about it. He basically said, I am getting fed up with the excuses made on Rashford's behalf by his PR team, especially spinning aversion events to get sympathy. How about just playing better instead? This is, I mean, Jamie Carragher a few times over the last couple of years, you know, you almost forget that he's not Roy Keane, ex-Manchester United player. He bloody goes in. I mean, look, maybe that's because he's a Liverpool player or not, but, you know, I mean, realistically, an ex-Liverpool player should be going, leave Rashford alone. You know, leave him alone, he's fine, because it benefits Liverpool. But he goes in. He also says they, Greenwood and Rashford, are young lads who should be leaving everything on the pitch. Compare their work rate with Mane, Salah, Silva, Foden or Mason Mount, and it's embarrassing. They've got to look at themselves. They're young lads and they should be leaving everything on the pitch, he says. And he's had enough of the PR spin from Rashford. I mean, bloody hell, it's I know what I think. I'll talk about that in a minute, but I just wanted to drop it in there because it's quite a big thing to discuss. Maguire's done that because Ronaldo will be captain, says Apollo 30X. Well, maybe Ronaldo won't play tomorrow. We'll have to see. Maybe it is a link. Think about that. Let's get to... I want to talk about that Carragher thing. I want to get into your questions. First of all, I just want to talk a little bit about transfer news. There is no transfer news. There's nothing going on. Zakaria, Ruiz, bloody Donny van der Beek, Martial, it's gone quiet. So maybe that's to do with we've got a match tomorrow. Maybe that's there's still a few weeks to go. But it is Judgment Day tomorrow. Without a shadow of a doubt, I feel that Hopefully Ronaldo will play. We bloody well need him tomorrow. I mean, it would be such a crying shame if Ronaldo doesn't play tomorrow after giving such a fantastic interview about, effort and desire and professionalism and what United's all about. We really need Ronaldo on the pitch tomorrow because he's the only one who's really talking the talk, isn't he? Who can walk the walk. So we need Ronaldo tomorrow. But it is Judgment Day. I was thinking about this. I suppose, I don't know what I am. I'm a fan like you, but obviously I do a show, so I have to think about, pitching ideas for content in relation to what we can discuss. And I was thinking this afternoon, I really want to talk about how this is such a massive game because where we are in the league at the moment, it's not great, but we can improve. If we lose tomorrow, I think we start to... I just don't think we'll be in a great position if we lose the game tomorrow. I think it will really... I feel this game's pivotal. I mentioned it in the preview. Pivotal, Judgment Day, now or never, time to deliver, whatever you want to call it. I think tomorrow cannot be another bad performance because I think if it's another bad performance, I don't think we grind out a win. I think we get beat. I don't really give a shit about the unbeaten record, by the way, that Villa haven't beaten us at Villa Park since 1995. Not really interested in that. I'm interested in 2022, this season, trying to get into the top four and salvage something so that we're not looking at another 3 or 4 year rebuild. I do think that the next 4 months are massive because if we do manage to get top four, all right, it's not the season we want, but you reset, you go again in the summer. And Ronaldo will definitely still be here. If we don't get top four, I think we lose some players and the club may not react in the right way in the market, and we could find ourselves, sort of the Arsenal for the next couple of years where we're sort of down around top 6, if that. So massive game tomorrow. I think if we win tomorrow, the momentum and confidence we will take from that into games against Brentford and West Ham could really kickstart our season. If we lose tomorrow, I think the momentum we take from that into Brentford and West Ham could really jeopardise our season. So I think it's a huge game, and I think you spend a lot of time over the last 8 years saying this game's massive, but I think after the interview with Ronaldo, everybody's back fit now. I think it's just so important. Judgment Day, Ronaldo, Rangnick, and I also feel that if he wins tomorrow and we win in a good way, I think it buys him a lot of credit. I think if we lose tomorrow and the players don't play well, as much as I think everybody's behind Rangnick and I'm behind Rangnick, I think it would be a big indicator that, again, these players aren't playing for the manager. So it's so big tomorrow, and I'm not one for overhyping things, but I do think it's a big game. I think the performance is important. I think I predicted a draw in the preview, and I do think that would be potentially not a bad result for United in the circumstances, but a win would be fantastic. Do you think Ralph is the right man for the job, and should Rashford start tomorrow, says Oliver Clintz. And hi Mark, I think United will win tomorrow, but I see it as the same game as last time we played them. I don't think we'll get away with it, United Empire. I don't think you can go to Villa Park, the form that Villa are in. They're going to be really excited because they've got 2 signings. They're going to be really out for revenge because of how well they played on Monday and they lost to us. And they're going to want to break that record. They're hungry to break that record. And I tell you what, Gerrard would want to beat us with bloody Lincoln. He's really going to want to beat us with a team he knows he can beat us with, and also he's going to want to be that manager that beats Manchester United at Villa Park for the first time in 26 years. They're going to be hungry like a wolf tomorrow. They are going to be absolutely up for it. I cannot see us grinding out a result tomorrow. I really can't. I think we're going to have to play well to beat them tomorrow. But going back to that previous super chat about whether I would start Rashford, let me just bring you these comments back in. Please smash a like on the video. Remember, it's Friday night, so we will be taking your questions. But let me remind you of these comments. I couldn't believe it. I'd heard them during the day, but I was busy doing other stuff. And then when I was preparing for the show just before I started, I read the comments again because you don't want to get these comments wrong. I couldn't believe how to the point and aggressive they were from Carragher. And there's nothing wrong with aggressive comments, passionate comments, but I don't know. Instead, I'm getting fed up with basically he said, Roy Keane's right, Gary Neville's right, they're a bunch of whingers, they're not fit to wear the shirt. He'd said all that, and then he says, I'm getting fed up with the excuses made on Rashford's behalf by his PR team, especially spinning a version of events to get sympathy. How about just playing better instead? And I would suggest that this is to do with the comments that have come out this week from Simon Stone about, he spoke to, and to be honest with you, that's the only thing I think I'm aware of that's come out from Rashford this week, and it's either come from United or his PR team about Rashford wasn't playing well under Ollie and he went to see him and Ollie told him to stop moaning. And I think that's what Carragher's talking about. Stop making excuses about things that really, in Carragher's words, spinning a version of events to get sympathy. How about just playing better instead? And he said he's getting fed up with it. He's getting fed up with the PR spin, which is amazing from one of the biggest sports pundits in the UK to say about a footballer, I've had enough of your moaning, I've had enough of your PR spin, just get on with playing well. You know, your effort's crap compared to people like Mane and Salah and Foden and Mount. And he includes Greenwood in that as well, which I want to talk about in a minute. But do you think that's too far? Do you think that's too strong? Do you think that's over the top to come out and basically attack a 24-year-old lad and say, you know, stop making excuses, stop using your PR spin and get on with playing well? Do you think that's too much? A bit of spit came out of my mouth then, probably because I was talking about Carragher. You know, that's never happened before. Missed out on a lot more rashy PR quotes than Mark, says Gabriel Noel. Well, maybe I have missed out on some of them. A lot of people saying he's not a lad, he's a man, and it's not too far. Some people are saying it's brilliant. I'm more than happy to take some more comments on what you think. But you know what? I've got to say, I don't think it's too far. But I probably come from a world that's a bit different from some people who probably are offended by it. The reality is, I've seen Sir Alex Ferguson kicked a boot at David Beckham and cut his eye. I mean, he'd be in prison for that in the modern day. In 2022, if Ralph Rangnick kicks a boot and it hits Marcus Rashford in the eye or Bruno Fernandes in the eye, he's in the prison. So, you know, I've seen Roy Keane, you know, virtually having a fight with Peter Schmeichel. I've seen him ripping the arse out of Gary Neville and Phil Neville. Not in the way you're probably thinking, but, you know, absolutely going in on them. So I've played football and been, you know, I remember playing in a pub team when I was like 17 and getting absolutely, you know, balled out for being greedy because I thought I could take everyone on. So, you know, I don't have a problem with criticism, and especially, you know, in fairness, I don't really have a lot of time for ex-pundits when they're talking about tactics and opinions on certain players, because I speak to Paul Ince, I've spoken to lots of ex-players. They're legends for what they've done on their pitch, but I don't think their opinion's actually much more than yours a lot of the time. But where they do have the experience is what it's like to make it and what it's like on a day-to-day basis where you've got to you know, look at yourselves. And I think that's what Ronaldo was saying this week, and I think that's what Jamie Carragher's saying. Look, Ronaldo's still playing now, so it's not an old school, you know, let's bury it in the past bloody nonsense. Carragher's basically saying, shut up and get on with it. And I do agree with that. I do agree with that. Would I say, shut up with all your PR spin, I've had enough of it, you know, stop trying to make excuses for sympathy and start playing well? I personally wouldn't go that far, because I like Rashford, I'm a Manchester United fan, and, you know, I feel that's very, very blunt, and I wouldn't really want to be in that position against the player that I like. Do I disagree with it? I don't disagree with it. I think that, you know, there's too much spin around Manchester United in general. I think Manchester United themselves, you know, forget about Rashford. I think the thing that's a bit unfair is that, talking about the PR spin around Rashford, Manchester United are the king of spin. That, you know, they are. But I didn't like the Simon Stone article this week about Marcus Rashford saying that, you know, he's been trying to sort this out. Ollie was playing him in the wrong position. I just think it's a load of crap. I really do. I think if you put Bruno Fernandes at right back, he'd probably play better than Wan-Bissaka. I think if you put Varane up front, he'd probably play better than Rashford has. I think this. Look, I'm not saying Bruno's playing fantastically well at the moment, but let's. If you put Ryan Giggs up front, he'd play brilliantly. If you put Paul Scholes at centre back, he'd give it his best shot. And that's what I mean. The modern day footballer cannot be moaning if you're a centre forward. Oh, I'm on the right wing today, I'm on the left wing today, I'm up front today. You're not being put at centre back. So this moaning about changing of position is so, what's the word? Spoilt. I want to play on the left wing, and he was playing me on the right wing, and that's why I'm not playing very well. And when I told him about it, he told me to stop moaning. I'd tell you to stop bloody moaning, and yet we've had an article about that this week. Simon Stone actually saying about Rashford. He went to Ollie because he felt he wasn't playing well, because he was being played in different positions, and Ollie told him to stop moaning. Well, to be honest, it's probably the only time I've heard of Ollie having a pair of balls and actually, you know, making a decision. Because, let's be honest, Marcus Rashford wasn't asked to play as a CDM, a left back, or even a number 10. He was playing up front, left wing or right wing. I mean, it's not really that much of a development, is it? Considering sometimes at certain teams they swap their wingers from side to side during the game. Some people play a front three that's fluid. So, you know, I think Ollie was right if that was true to tell him stop moaning. And ultimately, the worst trait in life, in any place, whether it's it's bad in a football team, it's bad in a bobsleigh team, it's bad in a bloody chess team, it's bad in any team, and it's bad in any working environment when you've got somebody in your team who, when things go wrong, look for somebody else to blame and feel sorry for themselves. That mentality has to not exist at Manchester United. I can't think of any United legend that had that had a weak mentality and felt sorry for themselves. I can't. You might throw somebody at me. So I think Carragher's right there. And you know what? Maybe with Jamie Carragher, it's something that might get read by United players and Rashford, and they hopefully will react to it. Because imagine if Marcus Rashford had the mentality of an elite mentality, we'd be laughing. Imagine if Mason Greenwood develops that mentality as well. But Greenwood getting thrown in there, I thought was interesting, because I think Greenwood's being thrown into the Rashford equation, and I don't think it's fair. I really don't. Do you think the dressing room issues outdates Maguire? Mourinho hinted a lot of player power issues from the dressing room. Well, there has been dressing room issues at Manchester United, Joshua, for a very long time, but it doesn't mean that it's nothing to do with new players. They come in and, you know, it's like any working environment, or it's like going to school. When you're the new boy or you're the new girl at work or school or uni, you know, first couple of days you might be a bit quiet, then you understand what the dressing room politics are like and you become a key player in it yourself. Different opinion. Rashi has been terrible, however I will still support him. Cara, don't come at our players like that to us. Spitter, says Daniel Kirk. Well, yeah, I think that's why I'd probably read it and go, that's a bit harsh, because I like Rashford and I want him to do well. But ultimately, what he's saying is probably right, isn't it? Where I disagree with him is I don't like it, and I think some of our fans have done it as well. I don't like the fact that Greenwood gets thrown into the Rashford equation, because ultimately I think he's being thrown into the equation because he's a bit greedy. But Greenwood actually started the season off quite well. He's 4 years younger. He's more of a centre forward than Rashford. I think centre forward's his right position, and I just think in the game he's very, very young. And I think with Greenwood he can go one of two ways. He can look at Rashford and go down that route, or he can look at someone like Ronaldo and he can go down that route. And what I mean by that is, any player, whether it's Jadon Sancho, whether it's Dalot or any other younger player, you can go down the Rashford route or you can go down the Ronaldo route. And I feel sorry for Rashford because I think he's gone down the wrong road because of the club he's been in. This is where people like Greenwood are quite fortunate. When Marcus Rashford was 20, he didn't have a Cristiano Ronaldo there to learn everything from. And I think he desperately is trying to learn everything from him now. I think Rashford is looking at Ronaldo now and trying to pick up things. And, it's not too late. But for Greenwood, you've got that option. Take it. And I think that, comparing Greenwood and Rashford is as unfair as comparing McTominay and Fred. I think they've got similar problems, but they are different types of players. And, tomorrow, I'd like nothing more than Rashford to start and score a goal. I'd love it. But going back to the question, would I start Rashford tomorrow? I think the honest answer has to be no. He was absolutely appalling on Monday night. And whether you're Marcus Rashford, Diego Dalot or David De Gea, you put in a performance like that, you really shouldn't start the next game when there are players that can take your place. So I wouldn't start him. But one of the big things that Rashford has, Levin was on about this on Monday night, and we've spoken about it in the preview quite a few times. Rashford is the quickest player we've got. And that ball over the top, pace is important, and that is something that Rangnick is very aware of. So that pace might be why he gets started, and I don't disagree with that. I think it's a very, very, very valuable asset. So we will see what happens tomorrow. But I fully expect him to start Maguire and Rashford. And to be honest with you, I really do think that the Maguire thing is way more confusing. I've heard a lot of people talking about the captaincy, and by the way, get your questions in. It's Friday night Q&A, so do get them in. Thanks everyone for tuning in. But Maguire is back for the game tomorrow, and you know, again, I don't say things with agenda at all. If Harry Maguire plays well tomorrow, I'll say, well, Rangnick got it right. But ultimately, before a ball's been kicked tomorrow, he should not start the game tomorrow. I'd argue it with anybody. He shouldn't start the game tomorrow. Now, some people will say he's the captain of the club, you've got to start your captain. But you know what? If Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes were playing really, really well in back in 2000 and Roy Keane had missed a few games and we're playing a game away to Villa and Nicky Butt and Scholes have been playing really well, would I put Roy Keane back in? Probably. Well, you're a hypocrite. No, I'd probably put Roy Keane back in because the year before, he was the reason we got to a Champions League final. He was the reason we won a treble. You know, Roy Keane is a proven world-class captain and winner. I don't feel that Maguire's captaincy makes a massive amount of difference. So really, we're just actually bringing him back in for what? Ability. Well, Phil Jones has played better than him and so's Lindelof. So for me, there's no reason to bring him back. If he's your John Terry or is your Steven Gerrard or is your Roy Keane or is your Nemanja Vidic, then I get it. But he's not been like that, so he shouldn't walk back into the team. That's why I'd love the captaincy to be taken off him, because then he'd be judged as a footballer and not as the captain of the club who just seems to walk back in. Hi Mark, Riddle, how is any player meant to get better under the manager's staff we had in the past few years? And Greenwood's problem is he doesn't pass, says Labe. I think Greenwood's problem is he's played out of position. I think he's a winger. I think he's a forward and not a winger. Interesting chat there from Vincent McDonald. He says Alanga deserves to start tomorrow. Big game to throw him into. Doesn't mean he shouldn't be thrown into it, but it's a big game to throw him into. Philemon, thank you very much for joining the Members Club. Thanks for your super chats. If you want to get them in, you can do. Apparently, there's talk that the Arsenal game is going to get called off. If this is called off, and I'm just going to check for you now. I don't know whether it's actually called off yet. They've put in basically North London Derby on Sunday if you're interested, and they basically put in a request to have their game cancelled because they've got a lot of injuries and suspensions, but they've got one case of COVID. Look, I was disgusted when Manchester United had their games called off against Brentford and Brighton, but we had a lot of COVID cases. It was really frustrating. Would I want United to get a game called off because they've got lots of injuries and suspensions? No, it's just tough shit. It's too bad. Like Pop says, you know, I disagree with it, but look, we'll see. So look, lots to talk about Rashford this week, lots to talk about Ronaldo this week. I personally think that Harry Maguire playing tomorrow is not right and it's not fair, but I do expect him to play. I think he might pick Rashford as well. We'll see. Somebody just said then, what's the plan with signings? At the moment, I think it's going to go. I think it'll be quiet for a couple of days. I think next week it'll probably pick up again. Donny says, "Be fair, Goldie." Well, no, I'm not. I'm not actually having a pop at Arsenal. I just think Arsenal are unfortunate that they're the team that needs to be held accountable, because if this was Manchester United trying to get the game called off against Villa because we've got a few injuries and suspensions and a few players at the AFCON, but we've got no COVID cases, I would say if I was the Premier League, hold on a minute, we've never had games cancelled in the past. We've brought this cancellation process in to manage COVID, and now we're getting clubs applying to have games postponed because of injury, suspensions and the AFCON, which you've always known was going to happen. The reason we've allowed postponements is because of unprecedented issues with COVID. How many cases of COVID have you got in your club? One. Dream on. Play your youth. It's just bad luck, isn't it? Leeds had to play against Arsenal just after Christmas and their team was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So that's my point, and it's got nothing to do with Arsenal. Arsenal will say, oh, it's just because it's Arsenal. It's got nothing to do with Arsenal. If this was Manchester United, I'd say we'd have to play the game. Don, thank you very much for the super chat. And I think it's a shame for football as well. Everyone's so excited about that North London derby. I'm so excited about it. I really am. Just quickly, while we've got some questions coming on. We have... Rangnick was talking about the fullback situation, and he basically said what we've been saying on here. That, remember in the preview for the Wolves game, I said, a lot of people said, oh, let's pick Delo at right back. And I said, depends whether he's going to go more attacking or he's going to go more defensive. Obviously, we went more defensive against Wolves and he played Wan-Bissaka. Against Villa in the Cup, I think he wanted to go more attacking, so he played Delo. And I think tomorrow, if we're going to go more defensive, I think we'll see Wan-Bissaka tomorrow, because I think he'll go more defensive. But he basically admitted that in an interview this afternoon. He said, look, I think Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka are more all-round fullbacks, defensively better, whereas Telles and Dalot are more attacking fullbacks. And he said it's nice to have two really good options at fullback, which I think it is. And I said, I think at fullback we're probably in a position that we would like to be in many other areas of our team. Whether you are Team Dalot or Team Wan-Bissaka, or you're Team Shaw or Team Telles, and then he said teetotal. Don't want to be that. Dry January. I think it's I think it's a good situation. I mean, I really can't. I would pick Luke Shaw and I would pick Dalot at the moment, but that doesn't mean I don't like Telles and Wan-Bissaka. I want to move away from this. As I said this afternoon, I want a squad of 20 players where I just like those 20 players. And one game I go, oh, he's gone with that combination today. I really can't be arsed with the whole, oh, he's not playing Pogba and Bruno's playing crap Bruno, love Pogba, or the other way around. I think we've got good options at fullback. Telles will obviously play tomorrow because Luke Shaw is suspended. So I like that. And I think Rangnick likes that situation as well. But I think also, if we're going to play more defensive, he's going to play Wan-Bissaka and Shaw. And if he wants to be more attacking, I think he'll play Dalot and maybe Telles. How do you feel about Rangnick confirming Telles starting versus Villa, says Sohal? Well, it's absolutely 100% because Luke Shaw's suspended. So, you know. Brutos says, would you play Phil Jones? Justice for Phil Jones, in fact. What would your centre-back pairing be tomorrow? And Adwali, thank you for your super chat. He says, Martial should be given a chance. Cavani said he wants to go and has been allowed to play games. Good point. We'll come back to that. Good question. Good topic. We'll come back to that. Centre-backs for me tomorrow. Portugal Power says he'd go with Jones and Varane. You can see he's a member, Portugal Power. That's why it stood out with your badge next to it. If you want to become a member, just click the join button. Malviar, who's also a member, says Victor and Varane. Amit says, I could understand Liverpool as their reason was COVID and initially having positive results, but Arsenal have mentioned AFCON and injuries. It's shameless. And I would love to sign Gravenbach. Great youngster, says Jessica. Also a client of Mino Raiola. Jones and Varane, says Jarhead. I'd play Lindelof and Varane, says Susan Brandon. Bill says Matt has been offered a new deal. I don't think that's happened at all. Varane and Lindelof, says Peter. And Varane and Bailly, says that boy. Yeah, Bailly's going to struggle because he's in Africa at the moment. Well, there's a lot of people going for Varane and Jones, and there's a lot of people going for Lindelof and Varane. Surprisingly, nobody's going for Maguire. And oh, there is! Nabil's gone with Varane and Maguire. Well done, Nabil. You've actually made this a better conversation because Maguire and Matic, says Alfie, he's a little bit drunk. Look, I thought Phil Jones played really, really well against Wolves. But I'd go with Lindelof and Varane. And the reason is, are we running a charity or are we running a football club? And what I mean by that is, Phil Jones played brilliant against Wolves. There's no future in it, and there's a bad result. There's a bad performance coming round the corner. And do you want to know why I know this? Because I've known Phil Jones at United for a decade. I've seen him have a good game, and then I've seen him have a bloody disaster game. He's 29. He's not going to get rid of injuries and inconsistency at 29. So if you want Jones to play tomorrow, I get it. And I want Jones over Maguire, 100%. If you're asking me if it's Jones or Maguire, I'm going to go with Jones. But you pick Jones tomorrow, he makes a big mistake, he'll get slaughtered. I think Lindelof's a better centre-back. I'd go Lindelof and Varane. I even saw a clip from Goldstein on Talk Sport. I thought it was from 10 years ago. Somebody told him it was actually a few days ago. Phil Jones for the World Cup. You're telling me it's not scripted. What midfield pair would you go for if we sign Zakaria, says Combs. Welcome to the Members Club, by the way. Doobie. Double, sorry. If I got Zakaria, I'd try a few things out. I think if you got Zakaria, you know, it's probably a bit late now, but if you got Zakaria, who's a specialist CDM, you could play him with Pogba. You could play him with Donny. You could play him with McTominay. You could play him with Fred. So instantly you would have options. If it was 2 years ago, I'd play him with Pogba. I'd like to see him with Donny, but I think McTominay would benefit from it as well. Even Fred. But Fred would probably be my last choice. I think McTominay's shown that if he can get to the edge of the box, I'd like to see McTominay given a run of games where he's given licence to get to the edge of the box, because maybe that's why he's rated. I'd love to see Donny just given a run of games, and I think Pogba with a bit more freedom would be interesting as well. How many players are needed to win the league, says Alan Burns. Well, we need 2 midfielders, because Pogba's going to leave, and maybe Donny. We need 2 midfielders. I would say Neves and Zakaria, or Neves and Basuma would be ideal. We may need another centre-back. I don't think, if Bay's going to go, I don't think we've got the modern type of centre-back that you need. As I said yesterday, you look at Liverpool's centre-backs, they've got Konate, Van Dijk, Matip and Gomez. They're all very similar types of centre-back. Mobile, you can play a high line with 2 at the back. I don't think United can play a mobile high line because we haven't got a mobile striker apart from Varane and Bailly, so we may need another striker. I don't think we necessarily need another right back. Ethan Laird's coming through. Brandon Williams is still a maybe, and you've got Dalot and Wan-Bissaka. Same at left back. I don't think we need left back at the moment. We're going to need another striker with Martial and Cavani going. So we probably need 4 players. Don Ollie, thank you very much for the super chat. Welcome to the Members Club, Peter. And Mark, the ongoing Phil Jones praise is a perfect example of who we are. Pixar FC, always about the story, never about the result, says Andrew. Well, look, you know, I absolutely loved it when Phil Jones played against Wolves, because, you know, the chat was just excited, it was enthusiastic, he was backed, you know, everyone got behind him, and he played really, really well, and he deserved his man of the match. But there is no future in it. He's ridiculously injury prone, and so therefore it doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if he was Virgil van Dijk. I'd still sell him, because there's just no future in it. You can't rely on him. And the one thing we've learnt over the last 8 years is that you need to have a centre-back pairing that you can rely on. So you can't rely on him. And also, I think he's still going to make big mistakes. Even some of the tackles he made in the Wolves game, they were perfect. If they'd have been half a second later or slightly to the other way, they would have been bad tackles. So for me, it was a nice game, but I'd just go Lindelof, really. I've got a feeling Ralph will play a 4-2-3-1, says Apollo 30X. I hope so. And Mark, we've done Phil Jones. I need to go back to that question about Anthony Martial. Would you bring Anthony Martial back into the team? It won't happen, by the way. He wants to go. He wants to play football. I respect that. As I said, I respect Dean Henderson, Donny van der Beek, Anthony Martial. They've asked to leave because they want to play football, because they're not playing football here. I think some people get a bit overprotective of the club. I get it, but ultimately going, if you don't want to be here, get out the club. It's a privilege to stay at this fucking football club and all that crap. Yeah, they want to leave. Like, what are you shouting about? They're not being picked and they want to leave. If you want to leave, go. They want to go. They're not being picked. They're not being allowed to go. That's the problem. So I respect players that actually want to leave because they want to play football, because Anthony Martial, Donny van der Beek and Dean Henderson are on very good money. They could sit there and go, the grass ain't always greener. I'll stay here, see who the manager is in the summer. They want to go, and they want to go now. Whereas you've got Pogba and Lingard who are like, yeah, I'm not too fussed about playing football. I'm free in the summer. I'm going to make a lot of money. I've got a lot more options. So, you know, I respect a player that wants to play right here, right now. So, hypothetically, would I give Anthony Martial a chance? Yes, I would, because I think that there are issues with Rashford, which are well discussed. There are issues with Greenwood. And the one thing about Anthony Martial is that I actually think Anthony Martial, I said it when we got Rangnick, I thought Martial might suit Rangnick, because if he plays with the front two and Cavani gets injured, Martial's a player that's decent with his back to goal and likes to link up play. So I don't think it will happen, but why would you not try him? It's a new manager in a new system. Why would you not give it a try? That's the whole point. So I don't think it will happen, though. Martial's time has passed and I wanted him to do well this season, but if he wants to leave, then let him go, says Peter. Yep. Welcome to the Members Club, Peter, as well. Martial wants game time. It's not like he doesn't want to be at United, says Adwell. Well, no, I disagree with you there. I disagree with you there. I agree with LJ. Every player should get a clean slate. I'll come back to that. Very good point. Martial doesn't want a clean slate. He doesn't. He wants to go. Like, basically the conversation that he's had with Rangnick is, nothing against you. I've been here a lot longer than you. I've been here under 3 managers. I was here under Van Gaal. It was good. I was here under Mourinho, it wasn't good. I was here under Oli, it started good and it ended badly. I don't want to be under another project seeing if I'm good enough. I'm 26. I need to go to a club where I'm going to play up front and score goals. And at this club, it's just not happening. And I can't waste time in a World Cup year waiting to see if it's going to happen. You can totally and utterly understand what he's on about. So I don't think Martial's like leaving because he's not going to get any game time. I think he's leaving because he's been round the circuit so many times. He can see what you can see, that it's just not going to work, and he wants to go. So I don't think it's anything to do with like. I think if Ralph Rangnick had said to him, "Look, please stay till the end of the season. I'll give you opportunities." I'm sure he has said that because he's saying it to Donny, he's saying it to Dean. But I just think Martial's had enough. So yeah, I don't see him getting an opportunity. In relation to that comment about a clean slate, I think it's a great point. I remember talking about this when we were when Ralph Rangnick took over, and there was a lot of you, quite rightly, in hindsight, a lot of you were saying, "Screw a clean slate. Some of these players are shit. I won't be giving them a chance." And I said, "Well, it's a new manager." And the coaching was bad under the previous manager. With a good new coaching, these players might be different players. So 100%, I said every player, whether it's Harry Maguire, Cristiano Ronaldo, whether it's Scott McTominay, Bruno Fernandes, I don't care who the player is, it's a clean slate under Rangnick because it'll be different coaching. Little did I know that mostly it wouldn't be new coaching, but it's still a clean slate. You know what they did with those clean slates? We cleaned those slates clean when Rangnick came in. We gave him a good old polish and we went, brand new clean slate for all of you. You know what some of them did? Pulled the pants down and shat on them straight away. So there is no clean slate for some of these players for me. Like, they've destroyed that. I can't believe they gave us half an hour of a bounce against Palace and then went back to the same old shit, moany crap players they are. So there is no clean slates. There's just hard work. They can clean the slates this time. There's no clean slate anymore. For some of them there is. Some of them have got mitigating circumstances. Certainly David De Gea, I don't think he can be criticised, and maybe a few others. But for a lot of them, they can clean the slate themselves and prove themselves with some hard work. Those clean slates under this manager went the minute they started putting in performances like Newcastle and Norwich and Wolves, and all the crap off the pitch. Goldbridge is Bruno FC and Ronaldo FC. Goldbridge is nobody FC. Goldbridge is TUS FC on career mode. That's all I am. Which players won't be here next season, do you think? Says Combs. I think next season, obviously Cavani will be gone. I think Matic and Mata will be gone. I think that Pogba will be gone. I'm not convinced Lingard will go. I really think he'll play a couple of games, score a goal, do a dance, and then think I'll sign the contract. So I think Lingard's desperate to stay. I've just got a funny feeling he will sign a contract and we'll have to go through all this every year again, where he just isn't quite good enough to start, but he's a bench player. Who else do I think will go? I want to be wrong on this. If we were in the Europa League, which I think we will be if we don't buy a midfielder, I think Ronaldo goes in the summer. I've got no information about that, no leaks. I just can't imagine Cristiano Ronaldo having it even in his contract that he's not playing in the Champions League. He's missed the Champions League. Why would he miss a year not playing in the Champions League in one of his last years, where he can just keep scoring goals and adding to his record? Why would you sacrifice a year of your career in the Europa League? I just don't think he'll do it. So I think if we're in the Europa League, I think Ronaldo will go. Illa says I think it'll be the same team. Well, it definitely won't be. There's definitely 4 or 5 players that are going to go. Do you think it's Ronaldo's job to drop into the midfield to help move the ball forward, since the midfield and defence can't do it? Says Pop. No. I hate it. I hate it when Harry Kane does it for England. I hated when Rooney used to do it for United. I've seen Ronaldo and Cavani do it. I hate it. I hate to see the number 9 dropping into the midfield. You know why they do it? Frustration. I understand why they do it. They're in the graveyard shift. They're not getting the ball, so they start dropping deep to get involved. But when they drop deep, who are you going to pass to? Because then you've got to get back up front yourself. It's illogical. Unless you're playing a false 9, it's illogical. So I don't like it. Do you think Ralph will pick Pogba? Great question by Faraz. Get your questions in. It's Friday night Q&A. Yeah, I think he will pick Pogba, don't you? I can't see him not picking Pogba, because the midfield has been so bad that it would be illogical not to try Paul Pogba, I feel. So I think Paul Pogba will play. I think that I've just had a very interesting quote come through here. I don't know how accurate it is. That basically trying to look. Basically, Ronaldo's not going to be the captain of Manchester United. Harry Maguire is the captain of Manchester United. That was who he was. Harry Maguire was the captain when Rangnick came here. He's the interim manager. He won't be changing the captain. So, which we all knew was going to happen. However, the kick to that is, if Maguire's not on the pitch, he can't be the captain, is it? So, you know, I was just reading the chat there, and somebody was on about it, and that's not. I mean, look, that's nothing to get angry about. When you think about it, it's very logical. Is Rangnick going to change the captain and strip Maguire of the captaincy? To be fair, is are Spurs going to strip Harry Kane of the captaincy and still pick him? You don't need to. You actually don't need to, and it's actually not a good idea to strip the captaincy off somebody anyway. You just don't pick them, and then you give the captaincy to somebody else. The problem is when you pick them, they're going to be the captain again, aren't they? So, I don't know. He shouldn't be the captain. But Man United lack balls. Manchester United football club lacks balls. The name, the fans, what the club is, doesn't lack balls. But the people running that club, they lack balls. The board lacks balls. The technical director of football, they lack balls. There's no big. I mean, Megan's dad says Rangnick's a letdown. He's not a letdown. He's an interim. That's what he is, mate. He's not a letdown. He's an interim. He doesn't have the authority to make certain decisions, and I'm not surprised. I'm not disappointed. I'm not frustrated. I knew that Harry Maguire would stay as captain, and I know he'll walk straight back into the team tomorrow. This is why we fail. Because we will not make the decisions a football club needs to make. We make political decisions that please players and dressing rooms and brands and sponsors. We don't make decisions that make winners. It's as simple as that. I've got a captain at my football club who's not a captain and is playing crap. I've got 2 centre-backs who are better than him, but I'm going to pick him because he's my captain. It's just political. It's a political decision. It's not a footballing decision. And Harry Maguire might play tomorrow night, and he might play really well, and he might run towards the cameras and go like that. And I would say, because it's not about what you do tomorrow, it's about what you've done for the last 3 or 4 months. You don't deserve to start, mate. There's one lad who's been better than you all season from Sweden called Victor. There's another lad who's been injured forever and played better than you against Wolves. You're third in line, but you're going to walk back straight into the team. Why are you walking straight back into that team, Harry? Are you telling them you're walking back into that team? Or is it somebody above telling them who walks back into that team? It's not his fault. But why has a centre-back who really isn't amazing got so much power at a club like Manchester United? I don't know. Why has Marcus Rashford got so much power at Manchester United? Why I mean, look, Bruno's got a lot of power at Manchester United. Why? Why has any player got so much power at Manchester United? Because we're player power FC. We need to seize the opportunity in the next 2 years and become competitive with Klopp and ageing squad and FSG who don't want to invest, says Dan. Well, there's still Man City. There's still Villa. Drop Bruno and play Mata. He loves the United and gives 100%. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, Vic. Fletcher calling the shots, says JB. Well, you know, I'm not going to say anything about Fletcher because apparently it's a hate campaign, but I don't hate anybody. I don't have an agenda against anybody. I'm just very confused. And as I said this morning, Patrice Evra has done an interview where he said he was offered the sporting director role and he didn't take it. And he got offered it when he was doing his badges at the club. Darren Fletcher comes in, does his badges at the job and ends up as a technical director. There's a running theme here, isn't there? Ex-United player comes to do his coaching badges at United and gets offered a massive role at the club. So, sorry if I'm a little bit dubious and concerned about Darren Fletcher being so involved in the running of our football club when he's been offered a job after doing some coaching badges and Evra got offered the same job and neither of them should have been offered the job. So, as I say, the football club just terrifies me. This is why I don't think we'll get top 4, because I just think the people running it are just chancers. I think they're guessers. You know, I think if they were playing poker, they'd go all in on a crap hand, and they might win. They might win big, but there's no skill to it. I just think some of the decisions. I think we're player power FC. I think Ronaldo has completely exposed that this week, and I hope we respond tomorrow with a result. And I hope we see a team that's not got Harry Maguire in it. And not because I dislike Harry. I don't dislike Harry. I think it's very unfair how certain players end up being symbolic of change. But he is symbolic of change, unfortunately. He's the captain of the club. He's not been playing very well. There's 2 better options. I think he will start because I think that's what United have become, a brand, when actually a football club would pick Jones or Lindelof. And tomorrow I'll smile if we pick Jones or Lindelof because it means we're a football club in a must-win game. It's Judgement Day. But it's Judgement Day in more ways than one. The result, if we lose, it will be judged badly. But also, the 11 he picks will be judged. And even if we win tomorrow, if Maguire starts tomorrow and Rashford starts tomorrow and we win, we've been down this road for 3 years. When's the next bad result? Are they suddenly going to perform a miracle and play consistently well? It's going to be very interesting. It's Judgement Day. I'm telling you, it's a big game. Thank you very much for joining the members club. Mark, the hard truth: Harry should not be captain. Standards, nothing will change. This is why we will fail. Pixar FC for the brands, says Andrew. Villa versus Man United would clarify to exactly where we are as a playing squad, especially after that astute Ronaldo interview, says Daniel. Maguire should not be United's captain, but it's not incumbent upon him to give it up. I will think less of him if that were possible if he did, says Biggie Third. No, Maguire can't refuse to take the captaincy, and he won't want to give it up. Anybody who's worth their salt would be determined to prove people wrong, and he's definitely got that in his character. You know, this whole thing is about, proving people wrong. He's not going to give it up, and he shouldn't have to give it up. Do you think Ralph's attitude and body language in press conference reflects why we're seeing the players looking disinterested, says Jack Jones? I think that's a great question by Jack. I think Ralph Rangnick's press conferences are so much better than what we've been used to over the last couple of years. But body language is also very important, and I think the body language, if you compare Rangnick to his first interview, I think there's a very different Ralph Rangnick. I think when he first came in, very enthusiastic, talking about his principles, how he likes to play football, a confidence that he could deliver. I remember in one of his first interviews, he said, I'm here for a few months, but I'd like to be here longer. If you look at him in an interview now, 6 weeks later, you still get the methodical, professional answer. But, the admission is, you can see it in the face. This is hard work. It's harder than I thought it was going to be. He even said this afternoon, it's taking longer than I thought it would. Well, Rangnick's, in his 60s? He's coached for, 30 years? And, 30 years of experience, 30 years where people like Jurgen Klopp and Tuchel and Nagelsmann have basically used him as the godfather. 30 years of a career. Nobody's thinking about this. Ralph Rangnick says, this is taking longer than I thought it would. He's not some naive bloody apprentice. He's a Jedi master when it comes to being a coach. All those years of being a coach, and this has surprised him at how long it's taken our players to adapt. That means one thing. These players are a lot worse than he thought they were for a club like Manchester United. If we don't keep Rangnick, who's your next Manchester United manager, says Vic. You know what, Vic? I don't know how everybody else feels, but I just feel... I said it after the game against Villa on Monday. I wasn't frustrated or angry. I'd be interested to see what happens. Well, I don't want this to happen. But if we get beat tomorrow, I can't see me going, oh, fucking this, that and the other. I can't see it because I think there's just an acceptance in me at the moment that we're not very good because we're not very good. We're not losing games because of silly errors. We're losing games because we're just not good enough. And therefore, I'm sort of taking it every day as it goes at the moment. And to be fair, I said it when Ollie was in charge. I said if Ollie gets the sack, there's no manager you can bring in that's going to make me excited and start going, we're going to win the league, like I did under Mourinho. Because I think too long's gone since we won the league. We're not, for a few years I was like, we've got to win that league so that it's not too long. It's already too long. Most of these players don't know how to win a Carabao Cup, let alone a league. We're so far off winning the league. So there's no manager that can come in that's going to make me go, yes, we're back. Whereas I think with Mourinho and Van Gaal, I probably did think that. I don't think that anymore. So I'm not excited about who the next manager is going to be, because basically we need a Jurgen Klopp who comes into a club that's on its knees and just rebuilds it from top to bottom into something great. And tell me a manager that's going to do that. It's difficult. Ten Hag loves Donny and Poch said was Ajax best player, says Tozif. Well, we'll see. It's 10 years without winning a league title for Manchester United. People think it's 9 or 8.5, but it's not. The last title we won was 2013. This title in 2022 we won't win. Therefore, we've got to win the title in May 2023. So it's either going to be exactly 10 years or we're not going to win it for 10 years. I don't know where them 10 years has gone. Again, nobody's really talking about this because they don't figure it out. Like, it's 9 years in May since we last won a title, but we're not winning the title this year. So the earliest we can win a title is next May. So 2023, 10 years. We'll either win the title, by a miracle, we'll win the title in 2023 and it'll be 10 years, or we won't and it'll be longer than 10 years. I can't believe it. Can't believe we've gone 10 years. And it's not just 10 years without a title, it's 10 years without a title challenge. Imagine the day in 2013 when Sir Alex Ferguson is retiring and somebody comes on the pitch and says, thanks Sir Alex, just to let you all know, United aren't going to challenge for a title again for 10 years at least. See you later. Everyone would go, you bloody idiot, who's that? And so it's come to pass. I think, as Ronaldo said, we need to really have a clear out and create a concrete winning mentality. I just hope whoever the coach is understands the task at hand, says Jack. Well, it doesn't matter what the coach thinks, Jack. It's what the board decide. Do you believe Man United are going to win a trophy this season, says CJC. Never say never. It's not impossible, but to win a title, to win a trophy this year, ask me now, no. We've got no chance. Absolutely none. But there's always time. It's never over till it's over. And if we suddenly start playing well with fluidity, why can we not win an FA Cup? But there's not been any hint that that's going to happen. And we've still got no midfield to do it. Tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow's going to be different, says Apollo. Positivity. Look, I'm going into that game absolutely desperate for us to win and play well. Absolutely on the edge for celebration and happiness and positivity. But realistically, I'm going into it expecting a very, very, very difficult game. And I'll be predicting that we won't, the best we'll get is a draw. But I hope I'm going to be wrong. You know what? I very rarely, even under Ollie, most of the games we got beat, Leicester, Everton, Villa, Watford, I predicted we'd win all those. I predicted we'd beat Norwich and Newcastle 3 or 4-0, and we didn't. So, look, I always predict United are going to win. And, maybe in a reverse psychology way, me predicting we're not going to win is probably a good thing. Considering Digne might play on the left flank along with probably Watkins on the left, or Coutinho maybe, who should start Wan-Bissaka? I think he will start Rangnick. I think, as I've said before, I think Rangnick, if he wants to be more defensive, he'll pick Wan-Bissaka. If he wants to be more attacking, he'll pick Dalot. I think he'll pick Wan-Bissaka tomorrow. I think he'll pick Maguire tomorrow. And I think he'll pick Rashford tomorrow. And the reason I think he'll do it is because Maguire plays well when we play deep and surrounded. And I think Wan-Bissaka does the same. I think we'll play a deep line. And I think we'll try and hit them on the break with Rashford's pace. So that's why I think he'll do it. I don't think they deserve it, but I think he will do it. Simple as that. Good points. Good points. Of course, if we play Delo and Telles tomorrow, it means we're going more attacking. And as I've said many times, this is the team that I would pick tomorrow. It would be Varane and Lindelof. It would be Delo and Telles. It would be a midfield three with Matic dropping in and Van der Beek on the right and Fred on the left supporting the fullbacks so they can go forward and they can fill in. And then you have Bruno, Sancho and you have Ronaldo up front. And I think it would work really well because I think Bruno can drop in for it to be a diamond. Sancho can cover the right to help Delo out if needed. And you've also got Donny there. You've got Ronaldo up front on his own. I think there's a lot of fluidity and we can really change things around. But I'd be stunned if he goes with that. I think what we'll actually see is a back six with Fred and Matic in front of Maguire and Varane, Wan-Bissaka, Telles, and then he'll play Rashford, Bruno, Sancho, and Ronaldo. Keith says, I respect you, Mark, but about not winning the league, you have to agree once Sir Alex left, we had an ageing squad and never had we tried to set after Sir Alex. I never would have thought we'd have 10 years after Sir Alex without being in a title race. I never would have thought we'd have gone 10 years without winning a title. I agree that the squad was ageing, and I agree it was mission impossible to take over Sir Alex Ferguson, but bringing David Moyes in basically sent the club back to 1985. I said it at the time. Unfortunately, United Stand wasn't running then. But I said, we basically just... And that's what Moyes did. He came in and smashed everything up. He got rid of all the backroom staff. He just he was telling Rio Ferdinand and Vidic to look at videos of Jagielka. We just destroyed that football club in the space of a month. And we've never built it back. I often wonder what would have happened when Sir Alex left if we'd got an Ancelotti or a Mourinho. We wouldn't be in this position. That appointment, whatever you think about Moyes, whatever you think about Van Gaal or Mourinho or Ollie or even Rangnick, that appointment after Sir Alex Ferguson set the tone. And I don't know what went on. And 10 years on, we should know. We all know Sir Alex Ferguson backed Moyes, but did they try to get anybody else? Because that was the time. For me, there was two. Mourinho was leaving Real Madrid to go to Chelsea, and Ancelotti, I think, was going to Real Madrid. So maybe we couldn't get them, but you can't change history. But I often do think, I wonder if we'd got a superstar manager after Sir Alex Ferguson, I think we'd be in a different situation. But the Moyes appointment destroyed us. It did, and we never got back. We never did. Anyway, look, tomorrow's a big day. Let's not go down memory lane. Let's go into the future. Massive game tomorrow. It's going to be difficult. Villa, under Steven Gerrard, not beat us at home in 26 years. Feeling pissed off about the FA Cup. Galvanised by two signings. Galvanised by the fact they were the better team. They're gunning for us. They are going for us tomorrow. They're coming for blood. Manchester United into the Lions' den. Literally, they've got a lion on their badge, actually. We've got to respond. And it can't just be try and scam a win. We've got to respond. I can't wait for it. I cannot wait for it. I will see you tomorrow for it. Also doing a watch-along for Man City Chelsea on That's Football if you want to join me for that. Thanks everyone for tonight. I always like the Friday night show, Q&A. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Love the show, says Keith. I love the company. Fantastic. And I'll speak to you all in a bit. Take care. And I'll speak to you soon.